What's up? What's up, homeschoolers? How you doing? Just old Uncle Larry. Just getting home from work, chilling out on a Thursday night. Thursday night. There's no football tonight, right? God, I wish there was. I think the next game is Saturday. Boy, it'd be great if there was a game. But I hope you guys are doing great out there. Today is a little better than yesterday. Rough day yesterday, guys, and I don't have to go into all it. There's a million videos on YouTube talking about how great Jeff Beck was. And we all know, and it's a great loss, and all the sweet comments on the little video of pork pie hat I put up. Man, you know, last summer when we were touring there with Ann Wilson for a while, we had a couple of gigs with, you know, ZZ Top and Jeff Beck, and it was really cool to like be on the same bill with those guys and being able to like stand on the side of the stage and watch, you know, all that legendary shit just happening right before your eyes. It's just great. You know, Jeff seemed so young and sort of, you know, healthy, you know, and he was. And but I think that bacterial meningitis shit that he had that shit could just come out of nowhere and just take you down in like 48 hours. I was reading about it. Yet another thing to fear in this world, people. But anyway, you know, let's get off that subject. It's you know, like a lot of people said on the videos, you know, the music will always be there, you know. I gotta say, I don't have a shit ton of Jeff Beck records. I've got a few, you know. I wasn't one of those guys that like had every one of his records and stuff. You know, I love the guy. I thought he was brilliant, you know. But I know a lot of you guys out there have every single record and know all the songs. I was not like that. You know, I could tell you every Leonard Skinner song that ever made on the pre-Plane Crash records. But you know how it is, you know, like certain albums you just memorize, you know. We always used to play this game on the tour bus when we were goofing around, you know, just trying to kill time. One of my favorite games is to like get a bunch of musicians together, and it's super nerdy, but it's super fun, and do it. Ask each musician, is there any album that you could name every single track on from memory, right? We may have talked about this in some previous episodes. Sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I do love this game. So you have a couple people check it on the phone, you know, they go to Google and type in the album track listing, and then the person sits there from memory and tries to name every single track on the, it doesn't have to be in order, but just try to get, if there's 12 songs on the album, try to get them all, you know. And, you know, it's funny what people choose, you know. I remember like when I was playing that game with Greg Voros from Groons, he picked Appetite for Destruction from you know, Guns N' Roses. And I would pick like, there's probably about 5 or 6 albums that I could name every song on from memory, you know. Maybe a few more, but it would be like the first 2 Cars albums. It would be Zenyatta Mandata by the Police. It would be first Skinner album. It'd be, you know, any Steely Dan record. I think I could get every single track on most Steely Dan albums from memory. But, you know, I always say that, you know, for those of you out there that want to play that game, you know, like John McBride from Blackbird Studio, my dear friend, you know, he named every song on the White Album. And there's a lot of songs on that album. Ebo could do every song on Exile on Main Street, you know, from memory, which is a lot of songs. And, you know, I always say that whatever that album is that you can name every song on from memory, that is what you are as a musician. You know, you can disguise yourself a lot of different ways as a musician, but whatever that album is that you can name every song on from memory, that is who you are as a musician. You can't hide from it. Whatever you were listening to at 13, which I still to this day believe is the most formative age for any musician, whatever you were listening to hardcore when you were 13 is what you are now. You're just a bigger version of it, So I always make that analogy, and again, I might be repeating myself, and I'm sorry. I cannot keep track of everything I've talked about. I make that analogy like 13 for the life of the musician. That age is so formative that it's like when you're a kid and playing Little League football and you got the mouthpiece and you boiled it in water and you put the mouthpiece in to chew it to make the impressions of your teeth. That's what 13 is for musicians. Whatever was going on there, you spend your whole life, becoming a bigger version of that and defending that music for the rest of your life. You will always defend that music. But let's get into some VCB here. This is from, today is day 4 of the 10-day Vince Gill thing. It's been going great. Man, those guys are such monster musicians. It's astounding to be able to play with musicians of that level. That band. We got done playing one song, just one of the many takes we've done. And I looked around the room and I looked at all those guys and I just thought, the cumulative hours of experience in this room right now, how many gigs, how many sessions that the total number of those dudes in that room have done, speaking that unspoken language of music, in the headphones. You're sitting there playing as a 6 or 7 piece ensemble, speaking that language. Everybody's conversing over the headphones. You play a little something, somebody answers you. It's like just staying out of the way and then making a statement, and that is a wild ride, man. When you got guys that listen that hard, every little thing you do matters. As I've talked about it many times before. And I remember we got done with one track, and I remember saying to Paul Franklin, I was like, if you could sell tickets or bottle this feeling of what it feels like to play a take in this chair, with guys of this caliber, when, a lot of people could never get to the point where they ever play with musicians that good, and I consider myself extremely lucky to have ever gotten to that point, and but if you could sell tickets to feel that feeling, it's you can't even describe it. You can't even talk about it. I made an analogy saying something like it must be akin to like how it feels like, for a guy in a NASCAR to be going around the track at 230 miles an hour. It's like, how are you going to explain that to somebody at a dinner party, what that feels like, until you do it. So, I just feel like, fortunate and I've worked really hard in this life, put my time in, paid my dues, spent a lot of time fucking around with this guitar to get to this point, and I'd never take it for granted, That's what Jed was saying too, Jed was like, I never take this shit for granted. And you can't, it's like, as evidenced yesterday, we're all not going to be here that long, and you got to soak in every one of these moments, when you're playing with guys that good, It's a cool thing. It's a really cool feeling. And you learn something every time, you constantly learning something. It's added to your trick bag, but it's cool. So here, let's get into some BCB here. One guy said, I think this is a cool question. This guy said, something about, hey, Tom, did you ever play football? You seem like you might have been an outside linebacker. I did play Little League football. I remember I played for 2 years on a team called the Rams. Very young. I was 90 pounds, I remember, when I played. Signed up for that league. And I played defensive end because I was tall. I was always the tallest kid in the class. And I remember after 2 years, my coach said to me, he goes, yeah, you're a big dude and everything, but you just don't have the killer instinct, man. I was a little too nice to be a defensive end. You got to be a little nasty. I think I think that's how Marshall is too, my son. He's got a good athletic skills, but I think he's a little too nice to be a killer out there on the field. You got to be born with that shit, that competitive edge, you know. Let's see. What else can we get into? One guy said, "Hey, Tom, nothing related to the video, but maybe for future VCB. Those last couple of days were rough. Someone opened my car and stole my 335 while I was buying strings at a store here in Brazil. It wasn't any vintage or collected guitar, but it was one that I can afford. Just to make me calm down, have you had any stolen guitars or any words to comfort this broken heart?" Dude, I'm sorry about that. That fucking blows. I apologize, man. You know, I've been lucky. You know, I haven't had a bunch of stuff stolen. You know, I mean, I've lost a couple things over the years. You know, when you have cartage, you know, sometimes you can. The guys that are packing up your gear at sessions, they don't know whose stuff goes with what. And I've definitely lost a couple instruments over the years. That I don't think it was anybody stealing anything, but it was like, oh wow, where did that go? Where'd that go? Never got packed in the case. There was a guitar recently. Oh yeah, there was an old Harmony Meteor that I had. I can't find the thing anywhere. I even went to the trouble of getting it refretted by Glazer, I remember, but it disappeared. I don't know if it's at some studio or what, but that doesn't help this poor guy. I feel terrible that happened, and man, the police ain't gonna be any help for you. I mean, they don't give a shit. They got bigger fish to fry. But I do think y'all, if y'all got a bunch of cool gear, you should definitely have insurance on your gear. I definitely do. I always have. I use a company called Heritage Insurance, and they've been great. I've had it forever. And it's not that expensive, and you can insure all your gear. And if anything ever happens, or fire, get stolen or flood, they give it to you, you know. And that's a little peace of mind, you know, for those out there that have a lot of dough invested in their gear. I don't know how anybody goes. Some of my friends that are like pro players don't have insurance on their gear, and I just look at them and go, "That's not a good move, dude." It'd be like not having health insurance. You gotta have that shit, people. What do we got here? A lot of people said that "Bring On the Night" by the Police is their favorite song as well. That's a great song. A lot of people sticking up for old Elliot Easton here, because I made that comment that he sounded like he had a broken hand. I love Elliot Easton. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has bad days, people, especially me. A lot of people were talking about their favorite cover songs, right? Because I mentioned that "Bring On the Night" song. Let's see. I should probably have these prepared in some sort of order so you guys don't have to wait around for me to find a cool question. But just in general, I really want to, you know, I know I keep thanking you guys, but I really do want to say another thank you for just hanging with old Larry. I mean, you know, it's a work in progress, this 2 years plus of putting up these videos. You know, I do feel like I appreciate all the donations. I mean, you guys, believe me, I may not always respond if somebody sends a PayPal tip or something like that, but I feel it, and I do appreciate you guys. I really do. I thank you. I know it's hard-earned money that you guys, you know, it ain't easy to come by, and I appreciate when you throw something in the jar. It's very cool. And I know you would have had to pay for lessons and stuff, and if you are learning a bunch of shit, I don't care what you steal. You know, you can steal anything you want. It doesn't matter, because really in the end, honestly, nothing is stolen, because we were talking about this on the session the other day. You know, you can show somebody, sit and show them how you're doing something, you know, exactly. And in the end, it doesn't matter, because they'll never be able to do it the same way you do it. They'll do their own version of it. But, you know, I remember my old buddy Rick, who you know, he won the 1 year anniversary of him dying. When I first started doing this YouTube channel, he was like, dude, what are you doing, man? You're showing your ass, he said. You're giving away all your licks, you know, all your secrets that you work so hard for. And I said, dude, there are no secrets, man. You know, I could show you guys note for note everything that I'm doing, and it doesn't matter because it's not going to be the same. You know, it'll sound like you doing it, not me doing it. Everybody's got their own touch. Everybody's, as we've said a million times, and you know, it's just, it doesn't matter. You really can't steal Mark Knopfler's style and tone. You can imitate it, but it doesn't. As soon as he plays it, it's better than anybody stealing it. Or you know, you can't. It's just, it's a fingerprint. Like guitar playing is like a sonic fingerprint. The way that people touch the strings is a fingerprint, and it's a style that cannot be imitated. It doesn't even have to be a great guitar player, but they play the way they play. There's another question. The guy said, do you have tinnitus, ringing in the ears? I do. Keeps me up at night. I'm still in my 20s. Depressing. How do you deal with it? I've had tinnitus since I was in my 20s. It sucks at first. It's a little horrifying to think that you're going to have this ringing in your ears the rest of your life. But after decades, you get so used to it that you don't even notice it. Like my ears are ringing like crazy right now, and I don't even notice it. It doesn't ever ruin my day. I'm so used to it. I mean, I was in the loudest bands in the world when I was a kid, and I never wore hearing protection. Dumbass move. Don't ever do that. If I saw my own sons doing the shit I did, I would slap them silly. I'd be like, boys, what the hell are you doing? Wear hearing protection. Hearing protection. You know, don't ruin your ears like I did. So that's a little advice. If any of you guys are young enough now, you don't already have the tinnitus, yes, put some hearing protection on when you're playing super loud. There's no fun having ringing in the ears. It sucks. I have to have a noise machine to sleep with. You know, I could never sleep in a dead silent room. It would make me insane. So there's all that. But that's all right. You get used to that. You get used to pretty much everything that's wrong with you in life after a while. Let's see. I know you're not a tech guy, but I think you should consider getting a live stream camera set up with a simple audio interface and mic. Not only would it let us hear you better, but being able to stream along to YouTube would mean no editing videos. Yeah, sure. No, I'm not doing that. You guys are going to have to suffer with this iPhone mic. I hope you don't mind. Let's see, maybe one more if I can find a good one. Hey, what's the amp you use there? Princeton Reverb, right? Yeah, most of the time, you know, lately I've been using this old Princeton Reverb. It's a 60s, you know, 64, 65, whatever. Typical blackface Princeton Reverb with a 10-inch speaker. Great amps. They're actually pretty loud when you think about it. You know, people think they're not loud enough to do a small gig, but they actually are. That's what I used on the gig I did at Third and Lindsay the other day. I had a Princeton and a Tweed Deluxe. It's plenty loud. I mean, I could have turned it down. Let's do one more. I'm in the mood. A lot of people have commented on that Yes thing I played, Heart of the Sunrise. That's a great riff, you know. Y'all should learn that one. My sons love that song, South Side of the Sky, on the same album, on Fragile. They love that song. They listen to it all the time. We'll be driving to school, and Leo, the 7-year-old, is like, play that South Side of the Sky. He loves that song. I try to think sometimes, like, what are they hearing in there that they love so much? And then I think, well, it's probably the same shit I heard that I loved. You know? I think that's enough for today. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. I'll see you real soon. I do have I may put up a couple little clips from the session, you know, of like just crazy shit that people are doing. I recorded some stuff of Gordon and John Jarvis playing his amazing piano stuff. I may make a little compilation video and show you some of that stuff. Gordon and I were joking around about the 5 best country music in the history of country music, the 5 best piano intros. Maybe I'll put that up after this. It's fascinating. So, all right, guys, take it easy. Talk to you soon. Bye.